The road to Valorian stretched before Roderic like a winding serpent, cutting through landscapes that grew increasingly twisted and foreboding. He urged his horse forward, the sturdy beast sensing its rider's urgency. The weight of his mission pressed heavily on Roderic's mind, matched only by the comforting warmth of Zephyr's amulet against his chest. As he traveled, the signs of the encroaching blight became impossible to ignore. Vibrant forests gave way to sickly groves, leaves curling and blackening on their branches. Fields that should have been ripe with harvest now lay barren, the earth cracked and lifeless. The very air seemed to thicken, carrying whispers of malevolence on each breeze. Roderic's keen senses, heightened by his berserker blood, picked up on dangers that normal travelers might miss. More than once, he spotted dark shapes slinking through the shadows, their eyes glowing with an unnatural hunger. He gave these creatures a wide berth, his hand never straying far from his axe. As dusk settled on the third day of his journey, Roderic's instincts screamed a warning. He dismounted, tying his horse to a gnarled tree and cautiously approaching a flickering light in the distance. Through the twisted trees, he glimpsed a group of orcs gathered around a campfire, their guttural voices carrying on the wind. Among them stood a figure that made Roderic's blood run cold, a blood wizard, his robes dark as night and stained with crimson. Creeping closer, Roderic strained to hear their conversation.
"The relic must be protected at all costs,"
the wizard commanded.
"Our master's plans cannot be interrupted. I will return once my preparations for the ritual are complete. Do not fail me, or your blood will feed our cause."
Orcs grunted in response, clearly cowed by the wizard's presence. As the sinister figure departed, melting into the shadows, Roderic's heart pounded with a mixture of anticipation and dread. He knew he had to act quickly, to uncover the wizard's plans and stop whatever dark ritual was being prepared. Roderic knew he couldn't allow this relic to remain in the hands of the blood wizard. Steeling himself, he stepped into the clearing, his blood-stained axe gleaming in the moonlight.
"Leave now,"
he growled, his voice low and threatening.
"or face my wrath."
The orc leader, a brute with tusks filed to razor points, snarled in response. Hefting a massive war hammer, he roared,
"Kill the intruder. Protect the relic with your lives."
As the orcs charged, Roderic felt the familiar surge of rage rising within him. The beast clawed at his insides, demanding release. For a moment he feared he would lose control, but the gentle warmth of the amulet pulsed, helping him channel his fury. With a roar that shook the trees, Roderic embraced his berserker heritage. His muscles bulged, his senses sharpened, and he entered a state of controlled frenzy. He became a whirlwind of destruction, his axe cleaving through the first wave of orcs with deadly precision. Blood spattered across his armor as he fought, his growls mixing with the screams of his enemies. The orcs attacked in waves, but Roderic was relentless, each strike fueled by the need to protect Elysion from the encroaching darkness. As the battle wore on, Roderic felt his control slipping. The beast within howled for complete release, tempting him with promises of unbridled power. With a final defiant roar, Roderic gave in to the transformation, but not entirely. Guided by the amulet's magic and his own iron will, he achieved a state he had never experienced before, a perfect melding of man and beast. His body grew larger, covered in thick fur, his features taking on a lupine cast. But his eyes remained clear, burning with human intelligence and determination. In this new form, Roderic was unstoppable. His claws tore through orc flesh like parchment, his heightened speed allowing him to dodge attacks that would have felled a normal man.
"By all the dark gods,"
the orc leader gasped, his eyes wide with terror.
"what manner of demon are you?"
Roderic didn't respond. his focus entirely on the battle. He moved through the remaining orcs like a force of nature, each movement a perfect blend of bestial power and human skill. In the midst of the chaos, the orc leader seized his chance. Snatching the relic from the altar, he turned to flee into the depths of the forest. Roderic, seeing his quarry escaping, let out a howl of frustration. But he couldn't pursue, not while enemies still threatened the innocents who might stumble upon this cursed place. As the last orc fell, Roderic stood alone in the blood-soaked clearing, his breath coming in heavy pants. Slowly, painfully, he willed his body to return to its human form. The transformation left him exhausted, but exhilarated. For the first time, he had controlled the change, had used the beast's power without losing himself to it. Dawn was breaking as Roderic mounted his horse once more, continuing his journey to Valorian. The relic might have been lost, but he had gained crucial information. A blood wizard, a dark ritual, a powerful artifact, all pieces of a sinister puzzle that threatened them all. As he rode, Roderic's resolve hardened. The council meeting in Valorian was more important than ever. He had to warn them of the dark forces gathering in the shadows, had to help forge a plan to save not just the western marches, but all of Elysion. The road ahead was long, and dangers lurked around every bend. But Roderic pressed on, driven by duty, honor, and the newfound hope that he could master the beast within. The fate of Elysion hung in the balance, and Roderic was determined to tip the scales in favor of the light.